Alright, let's talk password managers in 2023 because God forbid there are still almost 66% of people in the US who still memorize their account info or write it down somewhere. So let's fix that and try to make it better. So let's get into why you should be using a password manager in the first place. And the first reason is that it's more secure than at least if you were to put your account info on paper. Now, technically, memorizing all your passwords is the quote most secure option if you're savant and you're able to memorize very long passwords that have uppercase, lowercase letters, numbers, and special symbols across all the 100 accounts that you have, which if you're not using complex passwords and you're using the same password across all your accounts, then you better hope that you're not popular so that someone doesn't try to brute force that one password and get into all your accounts. But the point is that memorizing your account info across the hundreds of accounts that you have is just not a viable option. So what are the most viable password managers to use? Well, I'm not gonna go through all the ones on here. I'm only going to go through the ones that I've used and that I would deem are good and are not good. But if you want to do your own research and cover any ones that I didn't cover in this video, then by all means, maybe you'll find one that works better for you than the ones that I'm going to mention. These are the criteria that I'm going to be following for these password managers, and really only the price is the non-negotiable one. The other three are kind of interchangeable, and I'm taking price as a top priority because it's hard enough to convince someone to use any password manager at all, let alone one that doesn't have a free version and you have to pay for. So I would rather not have that be a barrier for anyone. So with all that said, the first one is 1Password. And really the only thing to know about 1Password is that it's not free. The reasons why I'm including 1Password in this video is because, or rather are because, it's still relatively popular and I used to use it back when it was free. Alright, next up is Dashlane. It has a free option, but it's very limited because it's only available on one device. So if you downloaded Dashlane on, say, your phone, and then you try to use it on your desktop, then you would get greeted with something that looks like this. Alright, let's move on to LastPass. So LastPass was the most popular password manager for several years, and I actually used it from about 2015 to around 2021. And the beginning of 2021 is when they tried to pull some bullshit, and that's kind of what led me to switch to my current password manager. But they have been stirred up in some other stuff. This is a letter that was sent out by LastPass's current CEO, and it's basically addressing the data breaches that LastPass had been experiencing in 2022. It's a lot of stuff to read, so the TLDR, I'll link it below, is that you should not use LastPass, and if you do use it, then you should move on to something else. And I will move on to the next password manager for this video, which is KeePass. And KeePass is actually a top 2 password manager in my opinion, simply because it's free. But in this case, free comes at a small price. And that price is basically ease of usability. So this is KeePass's official website, and the first thing you might notice is that it's very bright. And unfortunately, there's no way to turn on like a dark mode of any kind. So if you were to download it, you'd have to just deal with it being like this bright. And sure, you know, it looks kind of like a MySpace forum from like the 2000s, but that's not what we're here for. We're here to discuss, as an average person, how easy it is to install. So you can see here, there are a couple of release versions. The top one is usually the most recent one. It doesn't say that, but you could just 2.53 is the latest number, or like the highest number out of all these. So that's the latest release as of the upload of this video. Before I cover the rest of KeePass, I'll just use Bitwarden as an example of a good design on their website, and this is actually the last one that I'm going to go over, but I'm only going to go over the design of the website here. I'll just go more into that after I finish covering KeePass. But as you can see, it looks pretty modern. You don't have like a bunch of links that lead to like other releases. You just have this very bright Get Started Today button. So if you just click that, I mean, that's like the first thing you see, right? Click that, you get brought to this page, and you will be asked to fill in the information to create your account. And that's pretty much it. So I think this was just a good example of a password manager that has a good website design. But now back to KeePass. So just click on that one, and then there's like a lot of stuff here, a lot of information that most people won't really care about, and most likely the average person will not really care about. But what we care about is this. So there are a couple of options for you to choose from here, but really the only official supported version is for Windows at the top left, this download. The rest of the platforms like Android, iOS, and macOS are unofficially supported. So these links are not made by the people who made the official version for Windows, but you can still use these. And for just KeePass in general, it's mostly for those who are kind of down for a little bit of a challenge, because using KeePass is not as intuitive as using other password managers. But like I said before, the price is really just that, and you have a slightly more convenient option, such as all the managers that were mentioned before, or would you rather have something that's completely free, but you might have to take a couple of steps to make it work on all your devices. And I saved the best for last as of this date, and that's Bitwarden. So I've been using this since 2021, when LastPass decided to change their device policy, and I guess also the Karma situation where they got hit by a couple of breach attacks, and a lot of people kind of transferred to another one, and a lot of people were asking which one to transfer to, and pretty much everyone just said Bitwarden. But I started using it before then actually, and I found that I actually enjoyed using him more than LastPass anyway, so it kind of all worked out. But this video is about finding the password manager that provides the best user experience without having to pay much. And in this case, Bitwarden is completely free, and you have unlimited password on your account. And the big thing here is that you can have it across all of your devices at any time. There are other options available, like the premium plan and the family plan. For premium, you pretty much just have the ability to enable multi-factor authentication. And then the family plan is pretty much just you can share account info with other people. But the big takeaway with the premium and family plans for Bitwarden is that they're really cheap, and you'll notice that they are a lot cheaper than the premium plans of other password managers. But I think for the most part, the free one individually is good enough for most people. There's a browser extension for all browsers pretty much, and you also have a Windows application as well as a Mac application, and you also have it available on iPhone and Android. So you're pretty much covered on all fronts. And that's it for the password managers. I hope that this video provides some insight and encourages you to use a password manager if you are not already using one. And I would recommend that you do some research before you pick one, because there are a lot to choose from. But if you don't have the time for that, then I already mentioned the one that I would recommend. But yeah, that's it for this video. Thanks for watching.